Okay. Right, so the format then, we've done the welcome. We're just going to talk a little bit about Village Halls Week, so that, I mean, we're halfway through Village Halls Week, being Wednesday, but you have still got time to get involved if you haven't already planned anything. It does actually go on until the end of the week, so that is Sunday. So we'll talk about that. Very briefly, lifting of the Plan B restrictions. It hasn't changed greatly. It's very, very few things have changed, but we'll just go over that. And if you want to clarify or ask a question, please do. Put it in chat, and hopefully we'll pick up on that if there's any queries. And then we're delighted to have Michelle with us, Michelle Clerk, from Live and Local. So it will be really, really good to hear about how that operates across the various counties that this project is running, the benefits, how you can get involved, how your hall can sign up and become a part of the Live and Local network. So I'm quite excited about this because it's a long time since I've heard anything, a presentation about Live and Local. And we're delighted that we've got quite a few or several of the halls that already are part of the Live and Local network, and they are promoters. So we can hear a little bit from them if they want to add their experience and knowledge of running it in their own particular communities. We may have a short 5-10 minute break, depending on timing. And then we're going to have an open discussion, obviously questions to Live and Local, and then any other questions about Village Halls Week, about how you can innovate for the future, because that is the theme of Village Halls Week, or any other issues you do want to raise. We want to keep that really informal. So please think about that now. If you've got any burning issues, write it down, and then we can discuss that later on. And as I say, close about 11:30, but happy to extend that to 12 o'clock. So it's very informal. We'll see how we go. Okay, next slide, please, Sky. Okay, so Village Halls Week. This is ACRE, is our national body, ACRE, and this is the 5th year that they've been doing it, as we already said. Now, this is an example of the resources that ACRE have designed. They come up with new designs every year and a new theme. So the theme for this year is innovating for the future. Following the pandemic and the fact that we've been on lockdowns, and planning for the future has been something that's virtually been on hold for 2 years. I think it's a very good theme to have this year, for hopefully for halls to be thinking about how can we deliver something different? Can we operate slightly differently? Is there a new service that we can introduce? Thinking about the future, thinking about how they can be sustainable in the longer term, because I would imagine most of you have had groups that may have not returned after the pandemic, or they are, or people moving into your communities that want to see new activities and bring in some new, fresh blood, new ideas. So I think the theme is a really good theme. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be a small change, as long as it's thinking about how you can perhaps do something a little bit differently. So they've designed these templates. There are pledge cards, posters, and this is an example of the social media image that you can download all of this information. It's still not too late. You can make a pledge, put it on your own social media within your own community, share it with us, share it with other halls. So we'll go on to the next slide. Okay, so this is what ACRE have been doing. Last year they did a lot more online events because we were in lockdown during last year. So this year they've not done many online events themselves from ACRE, but what they did do on Monday, they did have a launch event in Berkshire at Bucklebury Victory Room in Berkshire. And it was opened and launched by the Right Honourable Lord Benyon, who's the Secretary of State and Minister for Rural Affairs, and he supports the Acre Network, quite a few different things. So it was great to have him actually launch Village Halls Week. And if you do get a chance and want to listen to that event, there is the YouTube link there. You can find it on the Acre website, but we will be sharing these slides after this morning's session. So you have got that link if you do feel that you want to go in and listen to that when you've got, half an hour to spare. So let's go to the next slide, please, Skye. So yesterday, Acre did a blog. Deborah Clark, who's the National Village Halls advisor, who provides and disseminates all the information down to the counties. So all the information I send out to you through COVID and all those updates come from Deborah Clark and Louise Beaton at Acre. And Deborah did a blog yesterday. And again, there's a link there if you did feel that you wanted to listen to what Acre was saying. But I think she sums it up here by saying the Village Hall Week is challenging halls to make pledges, to do something different and share it on social media. And nationally, they hope to create a buzz, a conversation, and stimulate the new ideas about the changes that will help. There's over 10,000 village halls in England, and well over that number if you take into account all sorts of community buildings. I mean, that figure is just purely what you class a village hall, but there's lots of other types. But the idea is that they're moving forward to adapt, flourish, and to continue making a difference to people's lives. So if you want to hear that full blog, there's the link. The next slide, please, Skye. They've come up with daily themes. You may have seen this in the MailChimp updates that I've been sending around. But if you haven't seen that, these are the themes for each day. So Monday was to do something different. Yesterday, something for everybody. They're very generic. You can, almost think of anything to fit in with these themes. Today, we have celebrating and supporting the arts. So that's really apt that we've got Michelle joining us today from Live and Local. But if you're doing it at your own village hall level, you might be having, dance classes going on today, or singing classes or art classes. And you could sort of share images of that or anything on social media to celebrate some supporting the arts today. Tomorrow, it's going on to Beacons of Hope for a More Sustainable Future. So that's quite broad. It may be that you want to pledge to become more energy efficient, have more people do car sharing, any simple things to make your hall more sustainable in the future. And then on Friday, financial resilience. So again, you might want to be looking at trying to market your hall a little bit better to see if you can get more bookings coming in to make the hall on a better financial footing. So they're quite broad and they can be interpreted any way that a particular hall wants to interpret those. I did come up with some examples on the next slide that I put in the MailChimp. You may have already read those. So we got the next slide, please, Skye. Yeah. So I put these just as examples that you might want to stimulate ideas, really. You don't have to use these. These are just random thoughts. It could be a really simple thing, aiming to recruit more trustees. I mean, it's a pledge. It may be something that you are aiming to do, whether you achieve it, but at least you are aiming to do something a little bit different. So it'd be great if you can get some, aim to get some newer people on your Village Hall Management Committee. That is always a huge challenge for halls, is to get to even recruit new trustees, but to try and get new people on your Village Hall committee is quite a challenge. But you could make that pledge, and if you publicise that to your village, it might actually inspire some younger people to actually, you know, come to the AGM and say they would quite like to stand to be a trustee and get involved in the hall. I'm not going to go through all of those because you can see the idea. These are pledges that halls can do. You can come up with all sorts of ideas. These are just examples. So if we go to the next one, because it's all right us asking halls to come up with pledges, we at RAD have also come up with pledges. So these are pledges that we are making to you, the halls network. These are the things that we are saying. They are statements of intent. This is what we intend to do, and hopefully achieve them by the end of this year. This is what we're aiming to do. So at the end of the year, you can come back and say, hang on a minute, you said you would be doing this. So remember our pledges. But again, it's just a way to show you as an example the type of things and what it means to make that pledge. So we pledged on Monday. We are launching our Village Hall membership scheme in April. We've been promoting that for a while now, so there's nothing new there. You probably knew that that's what we were going to do, but that was our main pledge for this year. And these fit in with the themes for the daily themes that ACRE did come up with. We're also trying to promote very much that safeguarding is something that every hall should be concerned about, and adopting a safeguarding policy. So that's our second pledge, that we hope that we will try and encourage for halls to adopt a safeguarding policy by the end of this year. Today we pledged, and we are delivering on our pledge, that we're going to be promoting live and local during Village Halls Week. So that fits in with today's theme. We're also working on a project to help halls to respond to the climate change crisis, So halls using renewable energy, for example, fit in with the theme that they will be serving as a beacon for learning and an inspiration for others. So if we can get some pilot projects with some halls that have adopted climate change measures or maybe renewable energy, we would be using them as beacons of good practice for other halls to aspire to do the same. And then Friday, upskilling trustees by offering training on financial policies and procedures, including managing risk and safeguarding the assets of the charity. So again, we will be offering training during the year. So that's an example, and these are the pledges that we will be sharing and have been sharing this week every day on social media. So that's an idea of what we'd like to see that the halls do as well. So I hope that gives you an idea what these pledges are all about. So the next slide, Skye, just basically, I'm sure you've been listening to the news over recent weeks and know probably all about the lifting of Plan B restrictions. So there's not a huge amount that's going to change. I think the main thing is face coverings. So as from tomorrow, which is the 27th, it's no longer going to be a legal requirement to wear face coverings in indoor venues. So the government suggests that you continue, but they do suggest that you continue to wear the face coverings in crowded and enclosed spaces where you may come into contact with other people you do not normally meet. So obviously that can apply to a village hall. You can't enforce it because it's no longer a legal requirement, and that's the difference. So the poster that we sent a link to saying that inside the hall you had to wear a face covering, when we went to Plan B, the government came out with a new poster, and I know a lot of halls, because I've seen them, have been displaying that poster. I think now is the time, really, that should be coming down, because that law has changed. But what they are saying is it's still good practice, and they'd like to see people to be encouraged to wear them. A lot of people don't feel safe without wearing them, but the fact that it's not legal anymore. But if you can encourage or suggest that they wear one, if there are vulnerable people, if it's in a crowded area, an enclosed part of the hall where you may come into contact with people you don't normally meet, if you can do that, that's what they're saying. So it's going back to Plan A, but it's just that mandatory legal requirement has been lifted. I'm not going to go over and read through where it says from the 20th of January and the bottom one there again. That's to do with face coverings, but it's mainly applying to schools, or it is applying to schools. Now, I know some schools use village halls for some activities. So that's something that you can see these slides. We're going to be posting them to you anyway. You will see these slides. But the first one there is to do with pupils in secondary school. So I don't think village halls and community buildings are used for children of that age. It tends to be primary and junior schools that may be using the village halls. And again, that one says secondary schools at the bottom. It says for staff in communal areas of primaries. So I don't think it's going to apply to the majority. It may be that one or two may be affected. So I'm not going to really go into that. But if there's any queries about that at a later date, please do get back to us if you're not sure, if you think that I might apply to your particular situation. Right. Let's go to the next one, Sky. Right, so these are new posters that the government have recently issued, and it actually says from the 27th of January, there is no longer a legal requirement. So if you want copies of these posters, contact me. I've got these and I can send you copies, electronic copies, if you want to display this poster. And again, that's a new NHS one about washing your hands regularly. So those good hygiene practices, we just expect that people are going to adopt those in the future. You can still have your hand gels in place. I wouldn't change anything. Basically, we're just going back to Plan A. So good standards of hygiene, good standards of cleaning, social distancing where you can, wearing face coverings where people can. We would expect that to carry on and encourage groups to do that. Okay, next slide, please. Right, very briefly on Omicron Hospitality and Leisure Grant. This was announced at the end of December because of the latest lockdowns that were affecting pubs and restaurants, if you remember, when the Omicron came about. So this is a grant purely for the hospitality and leisure sector. It's not for other businesses, and this is just a one-off grant. And village halls are eligible to apply for this. If you recall back to grants that you've had in the past, which were the retail, hospitality and leisure grants, because village halls are on the rating evaluation list at the local authority, that makes them a business that is eligible, and this is the same for the Omicron grant. If any hall thinks that they are having problems or it's been questioned by the local authority, it is slightly different this time because it is at the discretion of the local authority rather than a mandatory grant. So I cannot guarantee that the local authority that you're located in has taken the view how they're going to administer it. It's not the same across the whole country. But if you're having problems or if you've got any queries about it, please do get in touch. It's a new grant. Local authorities themselves are a little bit apprehensive how it's going to span out. So, but the deadline is the 28th of February. So it's going to be in the next month that this will be, happening. You may get a letter from your local authority inviting you to apply. If not, if you're concerned, please do get in contact with me and I can try and find out a little bit more. I know Derbyshire Dales, for example, which a lot of halls are based in the Derbyshire Dales, their Omicron Hospitality and Leisure Grant webpage has gone live today. I've checked it, it's gone live this morning. So if you do want to look on there, it gives you more information about it. I think the minimum amount is £2,667. So, that is definitely worth applying for if you've been invited to apply, and if not, apply online, which depends which local authority you're based in. Yeah. Okay, so any queries, any issues with that, if you're not sure, please do get in contact with me at RAD, because I can try and follow it up if there's a problem there. But each local authority is taking their own sort of discretionary approach to this new grant. Okay, next slide. Sky. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just saying about this unique tax reference and bank statement in order to receive the Omicron Hospitality and Leisure Grant. You can look up all the guidance. It's in section 226C, which is guidance to local authorities regarding the verification of the eligibility. Uses the words where applicable. That's why it is a little bit ambiguous. It's not mandatory. Yeah, so if you're queried about not having this unique tax reference, it is saying, and ACRE is saying, that a charity registration number would be appropriate for charities rather than having that unique tax reference. And a recent bank statement may be required if the local authority feels it needed to satisfy itself that an eligible organisation is trading and has not gone bust. So one of the eligibility criteria is that you're trading up to the end of 31st of December, just gone, 2021. That's one of the eligible criteria. So you've got to be a registered business for business rates, trading on the 30th of December 21, and listed as an eligible type of business, which village halls are. So it is very likely that you will get this grant. I won't say any more about that now. I think the next slide just covers rates very briefly, Sky. I believe that the rate relief for this year, 22-23, has been extended. So the rate relief scheme should assist those halls and sports clubs that would normally receive only the 80% mandatory rate reliefs. A lot of village halls get 100% rate relief anyway, but if you are in a district in your local authority only give you 80% mandatory rate relief, then this new concession might mean that you get 100% rate relief. Again, that's just something to be aware of, and query it with us if you're not sure. It can be a little bit complicated. So, okay, I think we've done enough about just the recap of where we are with Omicron and Village Halls Week. So we're now going to go on to the main topic, which is live and local. And as I say, we're delighted to have Michelle Clerk joining us.
Right, I'm just checking. I'm not muted, am I? Because I've moved you all to the side. You can hear
No,
me, can
no,
you?
you're not. We
Lovely.
yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks ever so much. I'm afraid I haven't got a PowerPoint. It is just me. Perhaps I do need to get a PowerPoint for this sort of thing. But thanks ever so much, Helena, for inviting me to come and talk about Live and Local and what we can offer to village halls and community groups in villages. And thanks ever so much to our Live and Local promoters who've come along, who will be here to answer any questions about the scheme when I've told you a bit more about it. So my name's Michelle Clare. I'm the Community Engagement Officer for the North for Live and Local, and the North in Live and Local terms is Staffordshire, Derbyshire and some bits of Leicestershire. Live and Local is a not-for-profit organisation. We were set up over 30 years ago with the aim of bringing high quality touring productions to rural communities in the Midlands. We cover 7 counties, so going from west to east. I think that's Worcestershire, Warwickshire, Leicestershire, Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire. Have I missed out Warwickshire, Nottinghamshire, Lincolnshire? There's one I've missed out already. Apologies for that. So, but no, there are 7. We're funded by Arts Council England. We're an NPO, which means we have funding on a 4-year programme, so that's the same as the RSC, the English National Opera, Junction Arts, People Express, organisations in Derbyshire. We're also funded by Derbyshire County Council, and most of the districts in Derbyshire fund us. So they fund us as an organisation, and they subsidise the shows that can happen in your community. So what Live and Local is we're a scheme that's designed for voluntary community organisations. So that's village hall committees, community centres, any voluntary group that's involved in organising activities in your community, to enable you to put on shows in your spaces. So the shows are specifically designed for smaller, unusual spaces, village halls, churches, schools, community centres. We have some libraries that are part of the network and able to put on shows. Don't worry if you don't have a lot of money or technical equipment or even a stage. You're exactly the people that this scheme's been designed for. The benefits, we hope, of being part of the Live and Local network is that it can help you attract new people to your venue. You can add to the variety of events that you see in the community. You get to see high quality live entertainment on your doorstep. You don't have to travel to Buxton or Derby or anywhere else. You can walk and then go to the pub afterwards, which is lovely. It can help build community spirit, getting new people involved in the village hall committee or in community life. It can promote village hall to new users and hirers. Hopefully, for those of you that get involved, it uses your existing skills but helps you gain new ones. And also, particularly important at this time, I think, it gives people something to look forward to, an event for the community to start looking forward to. Of the events we've had so far, we still have been able over the autumn and Christmas period to have shows in village halls and community centres, and people have just loved being able to get back together to be experiencing a community activity safely. And following along with the theme for today, it's an opportunity to try something new, but actually with a safety net, a financial safety net. We offer music, theatre, dance, spoken word, family shows. We even have outdoor entertainment that you can have if you're running a village fete or a fair. A real spread of things that something suitable for every section of the community. The way we do it is, if you become part of the network, we provide an annual menu, usually in March. And on that menu, it shows all the different shows that are available to book. We provide advice all the way through the process. We can help you choose, promote and run the event. We provide practical resources like posters and leaflets. We publicise your event on our own website, mailing list, and previous to COVID and probably coming back on board, we have seasonal brochures. So your event will get advertised in a brochure that will go into tourist information, that sort of thing. We provide a promoter handbook and online resources and support for you, and we can keep you in touch with the rest of the Live and Local network. So that is other voluntary promoters. Promoters is what we call people that are part of the network and are putting on shows. And it is a fantastic network of brilliant people who are putting on great things in their community, and just shows what a lovely network it is the amount of people who've turned up today that want to hopefully talk about the benefits. We have an annual menu launch, regular newsletters, and also there's the opportunity to have complimentary tickets to other shows. So if there's shows going on, other Live and Local shows going in the area that you'd like to see, absolutely fine for you to ask for tickets to come along and see them. I'm now finding I can't move my mouse onto this screen, but never mind, I'll wing it. If you do decide to become a promoter, then what you would need to do, in fact, let me find a bit of paper. Yeah, is you sign a promoter agreement. It's a gentle person's agreement. It's where we agree what we will both do. You choose your show. You make sure your venue is appropriately licensed and insured, and we can point you in the direction for advice for that. You need to publicise your event. You need to sell the tickets. You meet the performers on the day, and then you organise and run the event. At the end of the event, you send a form back in telling us how many tickets you've sold, and how it was received, what you thought about the show, and then we will invoice you based on that information. And hopefully you'll have a lovely time. I'll talk about the financial side of it in a few minutes, but I think now, rather than me talk anymore, if Sky could show, I've got a film which shows just an example of some of the sorts of shows that will be on our menu. It is just a tiny example of the sorts of shows that have been on our menu previously or are currently on our menu, and that village halls and community centres that are part of our network can request to have shows. So if you could just run that for me. It's about 9 minutes, just so you know, so you do have time to nip to the loo if you want, but it'd be lovely if you stayed and watch the film. Thank you.
Treatise we make on our own, mine's what we're for, and it goes down, down, down into our mind, wasting our time with what's right, and we stand by.
Two indecently talented young folk stars deliver a spirited set. Ellie Gowers is celebrated for her fierce energy and distinctive vocals. Alex Garden for his dazzling traditional fiddle.
Oh, there's a colour for every soul. I wouldn't fight yours if I were you.
Soho, in my day, was notorious. We saw all these ladies flaunting about in Dean Street in all their glory. When we looked out of the window, we could see that the Zeppelin was right over us, high up and as long as the street. We were terrified.
An intimate, compelling one-woman show of a working-class London girl reminiscing with horror, humour, tears and joy on the turbulent times from the Boer War to the Summer of Love. An absolute gem.
Kept saying to me, why don't you come with us of a Saturday night to the old Victoria in the cut Waterloo? I told them I couldn't because my father wouldn't let me. They told me not to be so silly because I worked and I was entitled to go. So I asked my mother if I could.
immersive and exhilarating multimedia show presents an electrifying Cornish urban gypsy duo performing alongside recorded audiovisual footage of a virtual 32-piece gypsy orchestra.
Let me introduce myself. I am Grandad. This is Ted. And here we all are, in the woods.
Featuring skillful puppetry and charming storytelling, this magical family show not only entertains, but has an important and timely environmental message to share. A beautiful piece of puppet theatre.
Did you know that a cross on a tree means that it's marked to be cut down? Yeah, it won't take long to clear it. No. Yeah, it'd be nice to have an airport on the doorstep, wouldn't it, eh? They're going to cut them all down. Oh, no. I'm not going to put up with this nonsense. This has got to stop. Stop! Stop what you're doing! Stop!
Dost thou call me fool, boy? All thy other titles thou hast given away. I've taken too little care of this.
With one drum, one guitar, one knife and one chair, one man tracks the demise of Shakespeare's tragic monarch from the point of view of his long-suffering and ever-loyal fool.
Where may we set our horses? In the mire. Prithee, if thou, you fool, if thou loves me, tell me. Give me the map there. Let me thrust him out the gate. Oh, is that the naked fella? Peace or liberty? Elf my hairs, you rascal. Ah!
A whistle-stop tour of the biggest blockbuster, adventure and rom-com hits of the last 80 years, reimagined and given an hilarious makeover. A superb comedy sketch sing-along cabaret dance show. Gypsy-inspired acoustic chamber jazz from a brilliant London quartet. A set of high-quality, wildly exciting instrumental music full of romanticism and nostalgia. Laced with gentle anecdote, This is a vibrant, sophisticated celebration of the dazzling 60s music of Dudley Moore, beloved comic actor and witty, imaginative jazz pianist.
She said, somewhere to rely on love. I was brought down to my knees by a vote for separation. Brothers fighting in the street to the sound of desperation. Young ones thought they must decide the fate of me and you, confused by pride of the broken few.
This fiddle-driven alt-folk band brings a roof-raising energy to its live shows, imbuing its heartfelt anthemic songs with feel-good foot-stomping rhythms and big sing-along choruses.
She said, somewhere to rely on love. I said, she said, somewhere to rely on love. In the end, we'll come together.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Hope you're all still there watching it. And it just shows an example. That is just an example of the sort of shows that we have on the menu or have had on the menu. And you can see the range from really good quality children's shows, music, dance. And I think what's quite interesting, there was a dance show in there, the Spilt Milk show. And normally if you say to people, well, might you think booking a contemporary dance show, they'd probably run a mile, but you can just see how accessible the sort of shows we have are to everybody. They're the sort of things that you could confidently sell to your community. So I'll just quickly whip through the practicalities of how this works, and then open the floor to questions and introduce you to some of our promoters. So assuming that you're interested in becoming part of the network and you join the scheme, what happens is you are able to review the full menu of shows and shortlist those that you're interested in. You submit your requests. We do ask for some flexibility around dates and the shows that you're requesting, because if you can imagine trying to put together a programme over 7 counties over a season is quite a nightmare, really. I'm glad I don't have to do it. We'll then confirm the shows and books that we've dated for you, and then you're ready to go and start planning how you're going to promote. Once we've sent you that booking confirmation, then that's when the show is officially booked. We will have contracted the performers by then. You can then start promoting the show, and about 6 to 8 weeks before, we start getting in touch, providing you with posters and flyers and advice, images for you to use on social media, anything to encourage you with your word of mouth. We'll keep checking in on you right up to the event. We're always there for you to talk to. We provide you the performers' contact details, so you can contact the company, sort out everything about when time they're arriving, and all of that sort of thing, and make sure you know where it's going in the space. And then you have a fantastic night, and you fill in the forms, as we say, and then we send you an invoice. So the financial workings of the scheme is there's no cost to you up front. It's not until you've sold your tickets is when we collect back our fixed fee. So there's a basic fixed fee for all shows, which are usually around £300, a little bit more. So that's how the minimum that you are going to need to pay. So if, for example, you sold 30 tickets at £12 a head, that's £360. You've covered the minimum guarantee. On top of that, there's a box office split with 70% coming back to us and 30% going to yourselves. So I always say to people, try not to think of it as a fundraiser. It doesn't work for villages that come into it thinking this is something we're going to do to raise funds. You can do, you absolutely can, and on top of the ticket sales, raffles and the bar, you've organised events, you can certainly make money. But what we're about as an organisation is about putting really good quality theatre, music and dance into communities for people to have a great time. And so if you are interested, I've put my contact details in the chat. Hopefully Helena can distribute those as well. But essentially what we want is fantastic events going on in communities. It's not with large profits in mind, and we're here to support you. And there's other opportunities that can come along if you're part of the Live and Local network. During COVID, we started a project called Living Room, which were virtual residencies where artists engaged with communities virtually. In some cases, they were able to do it as time went on face to face. And some of the promoters here have taken part in some amazing projects, and hopefully they might be able to talk to you about it. And sometimes just other opportunities turn up. Over the summer, Doley and the Glebe in Cryche were able to have a family show to support their children's activities over the summer that we were able to offer them for free, which isn't something that normally happens, but you never know, once you're part of the network, those opportunities become available. So that's it really. That's it from me. So I'm just going to open up so I can see you all a bit better now. And while I'm doing that, if I could ask the promoters that are here perhaps to just introduce yourselves, say where you're, what village you're from, how long you've been promoting with Live and Local, maybe what's been your favourite show so far. Sorry, I can't see to ask people to, so if someone wants to start by putting their hands up, that would be great.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Roger.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name's Roger. I'm the promoter for Cryche Live, which is the group in Cryche. Basically, we're a new group. We started probably, well over a year ago now, putting together the committee and the group that we've currently got. It was based on a solid foundation of about 8 years of Live and Local artists and acts coming to the Glebe Centre in Cryche, but we basically decided to take it in a slightly different direction, form a new sort of branded group, and start off by forming a committee of volunteers, using the skills that we already had between us. I put my hand up as the promoter and started off obviously talking to Michelle, and we've now had 2 shows which have been fantastic. We had a dance show. Michelle talked about dance, and it's not for everybody, but we had a contemporary duo coming to Cryche and it was fantastic. It was one of those where we didn't know what was going to happen, but it was just a fantastic evening for everybody. We've actually got Dudley Moore Jazz coming up in the next few weeks. That's our next show. And overall, we've taken 5 shows across the season. So we're very lucky and grateful we've got that number, because Cryche is quite a thriving community. But we do attract people from all sorts of other places in Derbyshire, and it's really nice to sort of bring other people into the community. And it's also been great for the Glebe Centre, because they, like a lot of village communities, have struggled to sort of, engage with people in the village over COVID. And, we've got a whole lot of new people in the village, and we're attracting new and interesting audiences to come and see shows with us. So from our perspective, I would highly recommend, if you can, getting involved with Live and Local. It is a really, really, fantastic scheme. There's obviously work involved to get yourself set up and running, but once you're running, we are tending to find it's now running quite smoothly. We also got involved with the Living Room project Michelle mentioned, which was great. We actually had a folk group from Australia who engaged with us in the village, and they set up a phone line, and we were chatting to them, telling them all about Cryche and what had gone on here historically and what the community was all about. And then they produced a CD of clips of all those things that we talked about, and it was amazing, absolutely fantastic. And a lot of the people at the glebe, so like luncheon clubs, things like that, got involved. So it was a cross-community event, sort of linked from Cryche Live's point of view and Live and Local's point of view. And we're actually hoping to have Bush Gothic play in the Glebe Centre in July or August this summer, because they're coming over. So we've actually linked that back in from having the Living Room project set up last year. So I would wholly recommend it. Yes, there's a bit of work involved, and you need to keep across coordinating everything, and having the right skill set in your group. And I would recommend having more than just one person running it, if you can, because it does spread the workload and it spreads the interest and the skill set. But yeah, get involved. It's a great scheme.
Thanks, Roger. That was a very extensive explanation, which is lovely. Thank you. So I'm aware of time, but if anybody else, I mean, it would be nice if everyone could, introduce themselves and just tell a little bit about what their venue's like and what you've done before. Maybe Ben, I'll just walk. If I just work round my screen, I think I'll do that.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, I've been the promoter at Kirk Langley Village Hall for about just over 11 years, and I was just totting up. I've done up till this last October 30 shows, and I've got another one booked in May. We've had quite a good cross section, but mainly, I suppose, music based. That suits our small and very humble hall. But we, I guess, get about half of the audience locally from the village itself, and the other half travel in from around parts of Derbyshire and even other places, because sometimes the acts we put on have got a bit of a following, and so people come travel quite a distance to come and see them. We used to run a bar, but we've decided that there's hardly any profit in that, and we don't see this, as Michelle was pointing out, as a profit-making scheme. It just brings an attractive event to the village hall and helps keep it sort of upbeat and live for other events to spin off it. So yeah, I'd recommend it. We certainly can carry on doing it as long as we can. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll just answer a question from Janet, which is what do venues typically charge for tickets, and how many people typically attend, and how many shows a year? So we recommend at the moment, I think, is it £12 or £11.50 we're recommending as a ticket price, which for some people that it seems like a lot of money for something that's going on in your village hall, but actually when you think about what you would be paying for a theatre ticket to see something as good in a theatre that you're having to travel to and find parking, it's a good deal, and certainly compared to cinema prices. The number of people that typically attend, it depends how good your promoting is and how good your advertising is and what your network in the village is. We average over the scheme 60. We do like to see people get at least 60 in if they can, but some venues just aren't that size. Some venues will only get 50 people in with the best will in the world, and obviously during COVID we've had social distancing to bear in mind, and there has been some financial leeway around that. You can apply for as many shows a year as you like, really. It doesn't mean to say you get them, because there's only a certain amount that we're funded in each district to deliver, but some promoters might put 4 or 5 shows on a year, some might just do 1 every other year. Once you're part of the network, there's no commitment to take a show. If you don't, after a couple of years, we might say, are you sure you want to be part of this? Or try and work out why you're not, but otherwise, you can apply for several if you want. And is there something else? Do venues typically offer a bar and or food? Yes, as Kath says, Bamford runs a bar and a raffle, which covers the cost of hiring the hall. That's another point as well. If you're a village hall, you are the village hall committee, there is no cost. Obviously, you're not charging yourself for the hire of the hall. If you're a group that's not the village hall committee and you haven't got the sort of relationship where you're not having to pay for it, then you might have to hire the hall, and you'll need to factor that in. In terms of food, it's completely up to you what you do. Only it depends what sort of show. If it's a theatre show, we wouldn't be encouraging you to put on a big meal in the interval, but some people have put a meal afterwards, a meal before. For each show, different acts will specify the length of interval. But as long as people aren't sitting and eating while someone's trying to perform, then that's absolutely fine. But if you've got a cabaret style, people will have drinks at the table, and that's lovely. Could please also discuss minimum requirements for venues and what licenses are generally required? I'm not an expert on licenses, but you'll usually have a premises license which will cover you for different sorts of activities and entertainment. As I say, we can point you in the direction of the advice that, because all local authorities have slightly different advice. In terms of, you know, if you're putting on a bar and you haven't got an alcohol license, then you'll apply for a 10 license. Thank you, Ben. Yeah,
there is. Yeah, we have an information sheet on entertainment in village halls, which would cover all of those aspects. A lot of live music, that sort of thing, was deregulated many years ago, so you didn't have to have a license. But like you said, Michelle, if you are serving alcohol or selling alcohol on the premises, I think is the actual legal thing. That information is included in that information sheet. But health and safety, I mean, I presume you have to ensure that they've got health and safety policies in place, fire risk assessments, those sort of safety aspects will be.
And we expect every promoter will do a risk assessment. At the moment, that includes COVID, but we'd be expecting anyone to do a risk assessment anyway. The artists do a risk assessment, you share it, you make sure everybody's happy with it, but on an individual basis we can discuss what those requirements are. Again, it depends if there's social distancing guidance in place. We've got some advice around that, but normally it would be your licensed capacity would be the amount that you'd be working to in terms of safety. You'll have a different license capacity for seated and for round tables, but that's advice we could give. And if you're going to come on board, I come and visit the venue, we have a look, talk about, you know, what could work, and all those questions can be asked then. I think we've got another question down here, have we? If not, I'll move on to yes, Jenny. And I've seen that, yes, the bar in the vestry, isn't it? It's which is fantastic. So if we could just move on. Well, actually, yeah, Jenny, did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, actually, we're not a village hall, it's run through the church. We're in Bradbourne, so it's a tiny village, 70 people, and our village hall is too small, but we actually use that just for the loos. So I'm a little bit off-piste here, but it's a beautiful venue and helps bring the community together. So like everybody else, we're not doing it to raise money, but we have great support from the vicar just to bring people together. And it's not only for the events, it's also for the planning. We have a lot of fun. Pre-pandemic, we were having pancake nights and stuff like that, and cheese and wine, so we could do the planning. So it's really beneficial for the community. And then going to the shows is great as well. So it's involved young people as well as the older ones.
Lovely, thank you, Jenny. Pete, do you want to, oh actually sorry, Kath, do you want to just quickly have a chat about the living room project?
Yeah, this was a fabulous thing we did, because we haven't restarted because all our volunteers are quite elderly in BCAC, and we're all a bit wary of gatherings, so we haven't managed to get anything going yet, and also our audience are elderly. So but Michelle contacted me, when was it? Last December?
Yeah, it was a long, not last December, the year before. It was 20,
I know, the time just goes.
Yeah.
And proposed one of the living room projects, and we worked with a fantastic band from the Midlands, we think we're up north here in Bamford. I think they were based in Leamington Spa, and they were called the Mechanicals Band, very talented musicians and composers. And so we decided with them that we would do a video of our local area and invite local residents to contribute music and words and images. And I think we were aiming for about 10 minutes, weren't we, Michelle?
It's a little bit longer.
But anyway, we put the word out and lots of people said, oh, that sounds nice. So people started writing songs and taking photos and doing artwork and singing folk songs. And in the end, it was a 30-minute video that the Wes from the Mechanicals Band put together and edited for us. And it's based around a new nature reserve that Bamford's just got called Thornhill Cars, which is just, it's in Bamford. And the whole project was based around this new nature reserve, which is a Derbyshire the Wildlife Trust. It's been given to them as a new nature reserve, and they're just leaving it mostly to rewild. It's a project they're not going to manage it that much, but it's so it's a rewilding project, and this really inspired everyone. I've put there's a link to it from the BCAC website. I've put it in the chat if anyone wants to see it. So if you want to quiet 30 minutes in Bamford, it's just a delightful thing. He did a really nice job on it, and we were so pleased. And Michelle chose the artist to work with the BCAC. So, it was all done for us, and that was fantastic. So thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Kath.
It managed to keep us going a bit during the lockdown, and we actually showed it at our AGM last year.
Brilliant.
We had a socially distanced AGM in the Village Institute, which is our hall here. And we showed the video on the big screen there, and which was a completely different way of seeing it from on YouTube or even on your telly. It was fantastic.
Which is exactly what the scheme was about people being able to engage with creativity and arts in a different way when you can't get together to see a show. I'll come to Pete and Rich in a minute, but I just want to ask New Mills, sorry, I forgot your name again, that's outrageous. Oh, it's Lynn Bannister. I don't know if you're still there, Lynn.
I am. I'm trying to unmute and turn things on.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine, because you're sort of a relatively new promoter, and it's slightly different because you're a festival, and you had some outdoor shows over the summer.
We did. Well, we're back new, because we used to be a live and local promoter many years ago when I first got involved with the festival, and that was we did that more traditionally in but we haven't got our own venue, so we sort of hired the local town hall and stuff, but this year we had some outdoor shows, so we didn't even have a venue except a car park. Sainsbury's car park was the venue that we chose, and it proved extremely popular. We didn't, there was no ticket prices or anything. It was part of the festival, so members of the public, it was all family based shows. We just promoted it, and then they just turned up when they wanted to. We had I think it was a couple of shows each day for 3 Saturdays of the festival, and it was a hugely popular event. So yeah, with in excess of 100 people turning up during the day for the shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I never saw that.
Which
before.
they would
That's
for free
amazing.
events, but I mean, it was part of.
Not necessarily. Sometimes free doesn't always. People don't always rate things being free, and certainly for shows, which is why under normal circumstances for the shows, we encourage people to have a realistic ticket price. So people value it and understand the value. But no, you're absolutely right. For a lovely outdoor festival and such a well organised festival like yours, then that's brilliant. Thank you. So I'll go to Rich and then to Pete, because Rich been on board a couple of years now, haven't you?
Yeah, so I started, our first show was January as we went into the lockdown in the March. So we'd done one show, we'd got one booked for the March that couldn't go ahead because of the lockdowns. We have since had them back, actually. They came to us Saturday just gone, which was one of our busiest. We 42 people attended that, which is 10 more than we usually have. So we're growing slowly. Fantastic thing. We took part in the living room project as well. I put a picture of a tree up there. That's something that we created with a local artist and some of our craft groups. We've also had the opportunity to put on some challenging stuff as well. So we had Rob Gee, who is an ex-mental health nurse, and his show is all about, well, we've had him twice now actually, but it's sort of exploring those issues of mental health and things like that. Very sweary, very funny, and actually the audiences love him. It's really, really good. So yeah, loads of things. So we tend to do a music show, then either a comedy show or a drama show or something like that, and just to mix it up and keep things going. But yeah, it's great.
Oh, thank you, Rich. And finally to Pete, who's been has been part of Live and Local for several years and has done a living room project as well as ongoing shows.
We started, I'd seen some Live and Local before, and when I moved here I got involved in the village hall, and it's not used very much, so I tried to start something else. We had 3 shows the first year and 2 in the second, and we were something completely different. I mean, they'd never had a live theatre in the village before. We've always covered our costs. There's not really got us ahead of steam, although there's quite a few people who are very enthusiastic about it now, but it does require me to drive it. We're between 40 and 60 in the hall. We've always covered our costs, so we find the raffle makes more money than profits from the show, which always just covers the power, sort of thing. We're a very rural village, and even charging £10 for something they don't know about becomes really difficult for some people. But I do point out that if we're charging £10 or £12, the cheapest seat you can get at Buxton for theatre is £26. So doing the comparison always works. We've had a couple of do's in the village hall which haven't been Live and Local, but we're finding that bring your own drinks is working a lot better than trying to organise a bar and all that sort of thing. We had an arrangement with a local pub, but they found it difficult, and the profits were negligible. But yeah, it's the people who've come, the people I've managed to persuade to come from the local community have been very impressed, and are advocates for live theatre now, and some of them have never been to theatre before, which was great. Okay.
And also big in alongside Tideswell and Great Longston and Carlton in Staffordshire Moorlands took part in a beautiful living room project where, and Pete was really key to this, where members of the community went out and recorded their experiences of lockdown, and then Harp and the Monkey, which are a great Manchester-based band who are also amazing animators and musicians, have put together a beautiful film, and it's called Birdsong and Bells. And I haven't got a link, but I'll try and share that, because in fact I'll send a link to our YouTube channel that has all the living room projects on, so people can have a look and see the different sort of things that we've done. We will be continuing with living room in a slightly different way, but it is still an opportunity that people will have. So that's it from Live and Local. If anybody has any other questions apart from the ones that you've put in the chat, more than happy to answer them now. If anyone just wants to get in touch, just have a talk through, see if it's something that would work in your village, then please do. That's what I'm for. That's my job. I'm always more than happy to come out and visit lovely Derbyshire, because I live in Leicestershire, so anytime I can get out to Derbyshire, I'm on that motorway, or the A4. But yeah, so I'd love to speak to any of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. That's really, really lovely to hear about everybody's experiences and how Live and Local operates. I know it's been around for many, many years, and yeah, it's just good for me to catch up, actually, to know how many halls in Derbyshire are involved with it. So any halls that are here joining us today that are not promoters, then they can contact you, Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put my contact details in the chat, but if they
will
forget
share that,
if you can share that, that would be that would be great.
That's fine.
Thank you.
That posed a question actually, because I know I've been advertising in the last couple of MailChimps that there's a grant for the Queen's Jubilee in, I don't know if it's June, July, I can't remember the date. I've sort of put the advert out and can't remember it. But there's funding available for communities that want to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee, but it has to be arts related. It's through the Arts Council. Is that something that's joining up? Is it sort of bringing ideas with Live and Local?
We've started to think about if there's anything particularly that we can do, but obviously we aren't the villages, we aren't the communities.
Yes, absolutely.
But if any villages either wanted to get in touch and said, we've got this idea we'd like to do, maybe that's something we could work together on, or alternatively, it might just be you can apply for some money to sort of subsidise putting on a Live and Local show, or we will have access to lots of outdoor entertainment. So if there's and actually it's a really cheap offer. We only charge £65, but we won't be able to afford to do that for everybody if everybody wants an outdoor show.
And I would imagine that the groups or performers that are doing outside shows are going to get booked up very rapidly for that particular bank holiday weekend. But it is a thought that, and just to remind halls that there is funding there, and I've been trying to think for our local village, Tissington, and I've not come up with an idea yet, but it suddenly thought when you were talking about all these performers that you're in contact with, that that are artists. I mean, it could be artists where they are people that sculptors and painters, other types, but this it's a broad eligibility criteria. But if you're wanting to put on an event for your community for the Platinum Jubilee, why not apply for that funding? If you can somehow get one of these artists groups involved with it, I would plan it sooner rather than later.
Because it's the sort of thing that might help, because we're subsidised to do a certain amount of shows. Once we've used up those shows in a particular district, it doesn't mean to say you can't still have a show, it just can't be subsidised. We can still give you all the support and help you choose. So that might be the sort of thing you could.
So a grant might cover that.
A grant might cover that, paying the full fee for it.
Just
but
a
certainly
thought.
I'm willing to chat to anybody. Anyone who's got any ideas, give us a chat.
I think anybody planning their Platinum plan, they need to sort of start. It needs to be thought now, because people will, things will get booked up, definitely. And it takes a lot of organising a big event like that. It's quite exciting. There's a lot happening this year in my family, and I know I've got so much going on, and this is just another thing, the Jubilee to look forward to. It's just such quite a busy.
We need it, don't we? Can I just ask before I go? Because obviously all you people that aren't member of the network are all hiding, which is absolutely fine. But just out of interest, does anybody think they might be interested in finding out a little bit more? Don't feel that you have to, but if you could, just pop something in the in the chat. Thank you, Janet. Where are you, Janet?
You're muted.
Langwith.
And which district's that in?
Bolsover.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely, Janet. We definitely need some more promoters in Bolsover. So I'd be thrilled to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm involved with a couple of halls, so yeah, that'll be good.
Marvellous. Yeah, just drop me a line.
Will do.
Hi,
Thank you.
Michelle.
Hi, Hazel.
I'm Hazel, and I'm the chair for Bonsall Village, and we'd be very interested.
Lovely. Is that Derbyshire Dales?
It is, yes.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, that's fab.
Lovely.
Yeah. Anybody? Any more for any more? I'd be happy with two. But...
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm at Edale, and so it's a very small hall. And we have done Live and Local many years ago. But it's a bit restrictions on the hall. But yes, I was intending having a look and look again and seeing what we can
do. Get in touch, because as I say, that there's options, there's ways and means. As I say, we do things in libraries, which some community libraries are quite small, but they can get an audience of 40. Which is manageable. Yeah. Anybody else want to ask a question or interested? Steve.
I put it in the chat. Sorry,
Eleanor.
Yeah, I don't know why it's come up as Eleanor. That's my daughter's name. I'm actually Alison. It's obviously something to do with the settings on Zoom on my computer that she's used. We're in South Derbyshire. It's potentially something that we could be interested in. We've got a large hall, we've got a capacity of 140. So
lovely.
It is, I'm not sure we'd get anywhere near that. No. Trying to do anything in our community is like pulling growing hen's teeth. But it could be something that we're interested in. I think it would really depend on looking at the menu to see what sort of activities. To be honest, things like folk and things would fall flat on its face here. Rock music is a completely different ball game, and people would be more interested in that sort of thing. Potentially, we have an in-house drama group that puts on shows, so we probably won't be looking at theatre, but maybe interested in some of the other stuff. So is there an opportunity just to look at the menu of what's available before signing up? Because that would help.
I mean, the thing is to go through the process of signing up, I need to come and have a visit, I come and meet you, come and look at, we go through quite a lot before you get to the stage, and you can have a look at the menu in the first hand to get an idea. It's a lot smaller at the moment than it normally is because COVID. So a lot of the theatre companies aren't touring the shows that they would normally do, and we had more people in the menu that were maybe smaller bands, husband and wife acts that were in their own bubble. Made it a lot easier. But yeah, no, please, I'd be happy. Which village in South Derbyshire?
It's called Linton.
Oh, I know Linton. Yeah, I've got 2 friends who live in Linton.
Get them to come along.
We can twist their arms then, can't we?
Yeah.
Okay, and Steve, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're in Fritchley, which is just down the hill from Roger in Cryche, and Roger and I have spoken before. He's been down and had a look at our hall. You know, we'd obviously love to have some of those sorts of events in the Fritchley Hall, but we don't want to be in competition with Cryche Live. So if we could collaborate with them, that would be great. The question I had was really more to do with any minimum restrictions on venues, because our hall is very different from Roger's community centre.
What size? What size is your capacity? Do you know?
Well, in our fire risk assessment, the maximum was 100. We don't have a performing license or anything.
That's like, well, you should have a business premises license, but yeah, no, that's great. As I say, sometimes some venues can only take 50, and we won't not let them be part of the Ben's saying that his because Kirk Langley is quite a small village hall.
It's probably more about access and toilet facilities and mundane things like that, but
that's why I think come out and do a visit, and we'll see whether
as I say, we're not trying to, we do it as part of Cryche Live most likely, because it would be crazy not to be so close and not be
I think the idea is because very often you will have villages that are 3 miles away from each other and they all promote, but actually what you're doing is building an audience between you. So, somebody who loves to go and see something at Cryche, and because you also get people who just like to go and see live and local shows. They look at, they don't live in the area, but they look at the menu and they'll turn up to see things.
And I think our venue is a bit different and might be appropriate for different sorts of shows.
And we encourage you to talk to each other. I mean, there was Richard's left now, but Doley, Plesley and Blackwell are all, so they're in Bolsover, aren't they? And they all run off the same A road, can't remember what it is, but they've been talking about sort of having this cultural corridor where they talk to each other about what shows they're having on, and each month you'll do a different one, and even talking about using community transport to get people from one to the other. So it's not a problem if you've got a promoter close by. I mean, there's 2 promoters in Belper as well, but all talk to each other, help promoting shows. You can maybe somebody Cryche has a show on, and if they are doing a raffle, maybe you're going to offer a couple of your tickets for their raffle to get people along and advertise. So the more you talk talk together, or just be there at the night and sell your show. There's lots of
I mean, we go to the Cryche Live shows anyway, so
we could do a shout
brilliant.
out then, and
brilliant.
If you enjoyed
Thank you,
this,
Roger.
if you
Yeah.
enjoyed this, come along to, and it
Yeah.
you make it a different experience. It's a different sort of space. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, let's just talk again, Roger.
Yeah, no problem, Steve. Yeah.
All right, cheers.
Fab, lovely.
Thank
well,
you.
I really look forward to hearing from all of you. If I don't, I'll get your email addresses from Helena and hound you down.
Yes, by all means. Yes, you can share any information if anybody because yes, we'll send out Michelle's contact details. Either contact myself or Michelle, and it's great that people are showing an interest, and I know that you're trying to get more promoters on board.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we get one signed up today, just as a trial run pilot sort of session that you want to have in your hall, that's a really good outcome for us.
And we're always, because we have got lots of, especially Derbyshire Dales, we've got loads of promoters, but some people burn out, some people say, actually, no, we're going to have a break this year. So we always need to be bringing new people on. So brilliant. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing from you all. And
Are there any specific parts of the county that are like, not spots, if you know what I mean? So you might get lots of halls in, say, Derbyshire Dales, but none in.
I mean, the main thing is that we're not funded by Chesterfield, so we're not going to be able to do anything in Chesterfield.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a question over Amber Valley funding at the moment, Roger and Steve. But we're going to do a bit of work around that. So we're not probably actively trying to get a lot of new promoters on in Amber Valley at the moment, but we will be asking all our loyal promoters to help us bang the drum. But otherwise, anywhere, Erewash and Bolsover probably we could definitely do with some, certainly, Bolsover is absolutely thrilled that someone from Bolsover, but everywhere else, yes, we would still welcome new promoters, but we have got many.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's just good to know that. Okay, right. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you very much. And again, thanks ever so much to Live and Local promoters for turning up your stars.
Yeah, thank you for that, the input from the promoters. It's really good to hear their perspective as well. So, okay, any questions that anybody wants to raise? We've sort of gone past 11:30 now. It's just 11:30 now. Oh, I've lost you. No, I've got you back again. All I'd like to just cover now, I'm hoping that throughout this morning's session, I'm hoping that some of you may have thought of, we could come up with a pledge. I don't know if anybody's come up with an idea that they want to share with their communities. It could be a pledge that we will look into putting on a Live and Local show in the future. It's not committing yourself, but it sort of sends out that message to your community that we might be doing this, watch this space type of thing. So I think the more you can communicate your intentions, your thoughts of what you would like to provide as a village hall, share those intentions with your community. I think they're more likely to engage with you or feedback what they would like to support or what they'd like to see provided. So I always think good communications is vital to get community engagement. There we are. Yeah, thank you, Sky. You've just put a slide up here that for the rest of this week, this afternoon even, if anybody wants to join in, these are free of charge, some Zoom sessions that have been put on by Kent Rural Community Council, similar to Rural Action Derbyshire. During Village Hall Week, they've had a Zoom session each day. So these are the last 3 that are still available. So if you did go onto their website, I think I put it in the last MailChimp newsletter, the link. There's one here, how to run a successful film club. So if you want to hear about that directly from a village hall that's done that, you can join that this afternoon. So any problems, just get in contact with me if you can't find the links. So that's just a useful opportunity. The last thing I wanted to mention was the fact that we are launching a membership scheme the beginning of April. The page is live on our website, so if you did want to find out a little bit more about that, we're not set up yet to take subscriptions, but we would like you, if you're interested, to register your interest. And there is a form online that you can do that. You're not committing yourself in any way to join the membership scheme, but I think it's a way of you finding out more about it. Register your interest, and what we're doing at the moment is offering a free Village Hall information sheet on safeguarding. So if you do register your interest, we will send you a free copy of that. Normally it is £10 plus VAT. So just by registering, it's worth it for your hall to do that. When we've got the facility for you to subscribe, we'll let you know if you do want to become a member. People that register before April, it would be £50 plus VAT. People joining after April, the annual fee will be £75 plus the VAT. So we're giving you a bit of that early bird incentive to join before April if you did want to become a member. So just to highlight you to that page is live on our website. You can find out information there. Basically, we don't like having to do this. It's just so that we can continue offering the service. Otherwise, the Village Hall Advisory Service probably wouldn't be able to continue in the format that it is. So it's not that we want to have a membership scheme, it's just a way of trying to maintain the support that we can offer in the future. I think that's all I was hoping to mention from my perspective. So if anybody does have any questions that they want to raise, I'm happy to stay online a little bit longer. Is there any more in the chat? Let me just check. Oh, right. Yes. So, yes, we've got somebody interested in joining the film club session this afternoon. Yes, we'll send you that link, Roger. I haven't got it to hand now, but I'll send it to you. Any more questions at all? No? Okay. Right. Well, thank you very much, Michelle, and the promoters that have joined us specially. And thank you very much for everybody else, joining us this morning. We do